Hi, my name is Nathan Senn with SuperiorCoin, and today I want to talk to you about Bitcoin and the potential that it has. I'm going to cover three topics. The first will be the history of Bitcoin and some obstacles it's overcome. The second will be the current day situation of where Bitcoin is. The third thing I'm going to cover is a Forbes article that I read today that lists the 5 top reasons why Bitcoin will be the best investment for 2018. Bitcoin was started in 2009 by someone going by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. No one truly knows who this is. It was started as an experiment, as a peer-to-peer cash system, as an answer to the financial crisis that the world was currently going through. Over the early years, there was very little adoption, and there was a small community that continued to grow through 2009 to 2011. In 2011, more and more financial reformists started getting on board and investing in Bitcoin, and we began to see a major price rise in the price of Bitcoin. As more and more people started to accept Bitcoin, we've seen a mainstream adoption of Bitcoin, with major companies and major brands beginning to accept Bitcoin. With this mainstream adoption, we've seen the media begin to put out lots of articles about Bitcoin. Most of these articles were negative articles about why Bitcoin was a Ponzi scheme, or why it was only used by criminals, or why it was going to be a bubble and crash and everyone that invested in it would lose their money. Probably the biggest crisis that Bitcoin's seen when a major exchange called Mt. Gox crashed. And people said that this would be the end of Bitcoin and the end of cryptocurrencies. But in actuality, it was just a setback for a few years that could have been prevented had more security measures been put in place. But it was also a good learning lesson for a lot of people. It was a very hard learning lesson. But in the end, most of the people who invested in Mt. Gox didn't really lose a lot of money. They did lose money with the price rise on Bitcoin, because they were never able to recover their full Bitcoin balance that they had invested in Mt. Gox. But from what I understand, everyone who invested in Mt. Gox did receive back the US dollar value of their accounts. This was due to the price rise of Bitcoin in 2008 or 2017, rising to the current price of $9,970 that it is right now. So the early investors in Bitcoin were mostly financial reformists who didn't as much care about making money off of their investment. I think a lot of it had to do with wanting to see a change in the monetary system and a change in the way that money was handled. And the media really did attack this project and a lot of the cryptocurrency projects, calling them scams and calling them Ponzi schemes. And a lot of them were, it's true. But in the end, the core community that made up the cryptocurrency community that we see today was started from people who wanted to see a reform, a change in the monetary system. And it's very exciting to see the market cap continue to rise as the media continue to attack the cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin movement. They eventually had to face reality that this is just not going away, that everything that they predicted, everything that they have said has turned out to not be true, or that the price of Bitcoin would crash, or that it would not ever see mainstream adoption is just not true, because today we see a major mainstream adoption with 260,000 retail stores around the world, and in Japan mostly, are accepting Bitcoin. And Japan made Bitcoin their second legal currency. So This kind of set a precedent for other countries that don't want to be left behind in this economic shift of in the monetary system to begin accepting Bitcoin and accepting cryptocurrencies. Whereas the last countries in will see a major setback if they don't adapt to the blockchain technology that's currently being developed. Now in 2017, we're seeing a major move into cryptocurrencies like we've never seen before. The market cap of the entire cryptocurrency moved from around $17 billion to over $300 billion just in this year alone. This has been fueled by major mainstream adoption, along with news outlets beginning to put out positive news regarding cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. We are now seeing CME, which is the largest futures exchange in the world, accepting Bitcoin as a future on their market here in the last quarter of 2017. This is expected to cause the price of Bitcoin to rise phenomenally over the next few months and into the future. People are predicting prices of over $100,000 within the next few years. So right now we are at the price of $9,900 plus for one Bitcoin, almost crossing the $10,000 mark. Once we hit the $10,000 mark, it's kind of a mental break for a lot of people who will see it as a point of no return for the Bitcoin movement. And it's a mental barrier that, if broken, could cause the price of Bitcoin to push up very, very fast. And over the last 2 weeks, we have seen the price of Bitcoin rise over $2,000 in a short period of time. This is not a short phenomena. I feel like it will continue to rise on into the future. Why is Bitcoin a good investment for 2018? There's 5 different reasons that were outlined in a Forbes article that I read earlier that were really good points. The first is major widespread adoption of Bitcoin. You'll see more and more stores accepting Bitcoin in 2018. Stores like Amazon and Overstock.com and different airlines are all beginning to integrate and prepare to accept Bitcoin. With this, you'll see a major price rise as people feel that it's more useful than holding US dollars. Mainstream acceptance of Bitcoin. Another thing that is happening with Bitcoin are peer-to-peer transactions. So in-person transactions for the sale of vehicles or the sale of different items that it would have been more difficult. Things that would have been done in cash before, but bringing large amounts of cash is not always convenient or easy. We're seeing more and more transactions like this being done through Bitcoin. We'll start to see more and more news outlets through major media outlets start to focus different programs or entire channels to the cryptocurrency and blockchain technology to cover the latest news and what is going on, because right now it's hard to always find accurate and informative information on these topics that is trustworthy. So I think in 2018 we'll see more and more adoption through mainstream media and through lots of store outlets begin to accept Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. The second reason that Bitcoin would be a good investment in 2018 is that it's disruptive to the status quo. And we're seeing more and more technologies like Uber and Netflix and Airbnb all disrupting major industries that people thought would last forever or never be competed with. And these industries ignored technology or ignored what technology potentially could do to benefit them, and wrote it off as a passing thing, and now they're seeing their entire industries turn on their head due to things like Uber and Airbnb and Netflix. So this is a example of how blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies will disrupt the status quo of the financial system. And right now, a lot of people may believe that it's a passing thing or a not useful tool. But the truth of the matter is that there's awakening, and people are realizing that cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies are here to stay, and that they can be a very useful and beneficial tool to society. The third reason that Bitcoin would be a good investment for 2018 is that there's no trust on Wall Street anymore. There's been major fraud on Wall Street and a breach of trust to their investors, and they have taken advantage of people who have invested into different funds and have taken advantage of the entire population of the United States through bailouts of the major banks, through a financial crisis that was engineered, and is not a fiction that the financial crisis was engineered or that it just happened. It was engineered, and it's very obvious, blatantly obvious to those who investigate or look into this matter. And we see different investment funds like JP Morgan bashing Bitcoin and bashing the Bitcoin technology, saying that it's a fraud and causing a major crash in the price, a short-term crash in the price, where they then are found to have been purchasing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency. And also they've been found to be money laundering. And there's very, very little trust left for these investment funds to handle people's money, because they are stealing from us and they are manipulating our investments to their advantage. The fourth reason that Bitcoin is a good investment for 2018 is government regulations. And that may be a hard one for most people to understand, but with regulations comes acceptance. These regulations that we're seeing put on cryptocurrency are in some way detrimental, but in other ways they give investors a safety or a sense of comfort knowing that the governments are not going to completely outlaw cryptocurrencies. Now, with these government regulations, we'll see more and more banks or cryptocurrency banks trapping your Bitcoin or trapping your cryptocurrency inside of banks and only allowing you to use the Bitcoin for things that they feel are acceptable. With government regulation, we'll see more and more Bitcoin banks or cryptocurrency banks being formed, and these banks will try to enforce the current monetary policies on your funds, such as minimum withdrawal or maximum withdrawal from your account, and also reporting of withdrawals and a restriction on withdrawals of your funds. And also that if you were to want to transfer your money out of the country, you could see setbacks or even be denied your funds for a certain amount of time while the government decided whether or not they would allow you to have access to your money to move it outside of the country. And we're seeing this happen inside of China, and other countries will follow suit as well. Because in China, people were using Bitcoin as a means to transfer their money outside of the country. And right now in the US, there's many regulations and restrictions on taking large sums of money out of your bank accounts, and the same thing will apply to cryptocurrency as well. One of the great benefits of using cryptocurrency is having control over your own money, and putting it inside of a Bitcoin bank may offer you some protection and some benefits. If you want true control over your money, I would recommend keeping it on your own private keys, where you are the sole and only person who has access to those funds. The fifth reason that Bitcoin will be a good investment in 2018 is Wall Street acceptance. So what we're seeing now is large investment funds such as CME, which is the largest futures exchange in the world, listing Bitcoin futures on their exchange. This can be a very beneficial thing to our community, as we will see much of the Wall Street money flow into the cryptocurrency ecosystem. We'll see more people investing because of the credibility that they feel like this will give the cryptocurrencies, and will feel more comfortable investing with the acceptance of Wall Street money going into it.